people, to the Real Collective podcast. As always, I am Sean Tassay, joined by my illustrious colleague, co-host, friend, and cohort, Kyle Miller. All of the sounds that sound like C for your intonation pleasure. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, download this, share with someone who you think might like this type of conversation. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, thank you very much for your ears. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then you get to see our silly faces. Lucky you. You can schedule an appointment with Kyle or I directly with the calendar links below, and you can download the buyer guide or the seller guide in the links down below as well. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for our great conversation about magic mind, the beautiful elixir that makes your mind magical. Kyle, how are you doing today?
As usual, sir, living the dream. Here we go.
I mean,
pretty much how it rolls. Yeah.
It is an absolute dream to be here with you. I enjoy our time together. We always have fun. You are a great colleague and co-host. Very animated, and I appreciate it.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to be complimented so much, but thank you very much.
I'm feeling very verbose today. I don't know why.
It's the coffee. It's the coffee's in the magic mind.
That's it. Yeah, man. Just jacked. Just my mind is on this whole other level. Just eyes like this all day, all pupils. like
Buble.
There it is.
Yeah. Buble at the All-Star game. Yeah. Apparently that wasn't a microdose.
That was a macro,
according to what he said. Yeah, a little macro, a little less micro, a little more macro. That's it. Good for him. Good for him.
You know what? Why not have fun? So we're going to talk today about Plan B and what that means when you're working on a real estate transaction. Plan B, not the morning after pill, but Plan B is, hey, if this doesn't work out exactly the way they want to, what are you going to do? Right?
Yeah.
So, for example, maybe you've submitted an offer on a property and your offer is conditional on the sale of your home. We call that a first refusal. We don't call it a conditional offer. A lot of confusion in the marketplace. People say, oh, you've got an offer that's conditional. What a conditional offer is, it's conditional on financing, home inspection, or a status certificate review, something else potentially as well. But those are the big three that you typically find. Those normally last for a week, maybe two. That's about it. But a first refusal, which means that it's conditional on the sale of your home, will typically last 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, maybe even 2 months, depending on the market that we're in. But it's not called a conditional sale, it's called a first refusal. There's another line in there that says, provided further that seller is allowed to continue to market the house for sale and potentially find another buyer. And that buyer has to give notice to the seller, and the seller will have, the seller will give notice to the buyer. The buyer will have 24, 36, 48, 72 hours to make a decision about, oh, you know what? My house isn't actually sold, but I really want this one. Or, hey, my house isn't actually sold. I can't go through with this deal. I'm not comfortable with it. And that's up to the buyer of the first property, right? And so go.
I was to say, are you seeing those come back in this market? Really, eh?
Well, a lot more.
I did one last year, maybe two.
I think last year we probably did about 4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah, I think
that's interesting.
We're in one right now, and
what side? Sorry, but what side are you on in that? If you're in one, are you the first refusal, or are you holding the first refusal as a sale?
Holding the first refusal as a sale.
Okay.
And someone else came along. Here's where it gets really crazy. So we're holding a first refusal. We're representing the seller. Someone else comes along and says, hey, I'm giving you this offer, and the offer is conditional. And they said, oh, well, here's our conditional offer. We said, look, give us a clean offer. I'm not serving notice until you give us a clean offer, i.e. no conditions, right?
Okay.
So it's a country property, so well and septic. So go and fulfill all of your conditions. When you give us a clean offer, then we're going to serve notice.
So they can, but if I'm thinking of being the buyer, so you're letting me do what I need to do. So if I need, so you're letting me have an inspection, You're letting me have an appraisal if I need it, if I think I need it. You're letting me still see the property. You're just saying, don't give me any paper unless it's got nothing on it other than I'm buying this.
Right. Or
Okay.
you can give me paper if you want. Totally, that's fine. And I'll tell you what happened is they gave paper and they said, "Hey, we we want to do. Here's our paper. We want you to accept this deal." But what they didn't write in their paper and what they only expressed was, "Hey, we want you to serve notice once you accept our conditional offer." And we said, "No, we're not serving notice once we accept
Oh
your."
yeah, that's silly.
Yeah, because then I'm gonna kick the first people out, and then your conditions won't get fulfilled, and then I'm gonna lose you. So now I lost both. So I said, no, you give me your offer once it's firm, once you've fulfilled your conditions. That's when I serve notice. And the second buyer agent didn't understand that. So he submitted his offer. He said, "Hey, thanks very much for accepting our offer. You can serve notice now." And we said,
No.
"No, we're not serving notice. We told you we're not serving notice." And there was nothing written in his offer that says, upon acceptance of this conditional sale, you must serve notice. And so
Gotcha.
he was upset. He said, "You didn't serve notice. You took our offer and you didn't serve notice." We said, "No, no, no. We told you we weren't going to." And in the first offer, it says, upon acceptance of another transaction, the seller may serve notice. It doesn't say must. And the second offer that the second buyer sent in didn't say anything about the requirement to serve notice upon acceptance of the conditional offer. So
Semantics, baby.
all we had was a backup offer. Right? That's it. And that backup offer made the first offer fulfill their conditions. So, it came in during the time where the first offer was conditional plus first refusal. So the first offer came through and said, "Okay, you know what? We're still going with it. We want to still go with our deal." Right? So they fulfilled their conditions. They did their home inspection, well inspection, a septic inspection, and they got their financing all approved. So that was it.
But did they sell their house?
No, they didn't sell.
Ah,
Their house was still unsold. It was on the market. We knew what it was. We're like, yeah, this is priced right. It should sell. I mean, we were selling a $650,000 country property. They were selling a $450,000 condo townhouse, 3-story condo townhouse in the middle of in the greenbelt. So I was like, yeah, we're pretty confident that that's going to be able to sell, right?
so that what's interesting about that whole thing is how granular you got on must versus may, and that stuff, which is good. It's just what it flips to in my head, right? And when you just said it there, you're like, yeah, they fulfill their financing condition. I'm saying 50-50 on that because there's a very good chance they have not fulfilled their finance condition.
Yes, they haven't,
right?
Because their financing condition would say you must have sold your home.
Sold your home.
Right.
So they're rolling the dice that they will sell their home, have a firm sale. Doesn't have to be sold at the same time, but have a firm sale.
Yeah.
Because until that time, if that's the case, they have not fulfilled their condition to the bank.
Right.
So that's the interesting part about it is we can tell, like, at the end of the day, you don't need to put conditions,
right?
Because you haven't fulfilled them anyway.
Well, so from our perspective,
financing side.
From yeah, exactly. From the legal perspective, like the agreement of purchase and sale, again, it was still written to say they waived all of their conditions except for the sale of their house, and their financing condition probably said, yeah, we approve your financing as long as you're not carrying 2 mortgages.
Exactly.
And so their deal still said, hey, look, we've fulfilled all of our other conditions, including our financing condition, because we still have that protection of the first refusal in that deal.
So they still didn't, you still didn't let go of the first refusal though.
Correct.
So they can still back out of the deal.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So
okay.
So
I figured
go.
Sorry, just going in my brain. I figured that the first refusal is essentially directly tied to the finance condition.
No.
But it's a separate condition.
Correct.
So they fulfilled every other condition.
Yeah.
And if we layman's term this, It's like, hey, we fulfilled our finance condition if we sell our house, which you guys have still accepted. So we still have X amount of weeks, months, whatever, until we're actually have to prove this to you.
Yeah. So get
Hmm.
this. All right. It gets even better. You want to talk about plan B, and from both sides of it, get this. The term gets near the end, and the buyers who we've got this first refusal on this property, right? These buyers say, hey, it's getting near the end of our term. We have a conditional sale on that house that we're selling. Hey, great. This is good. It's all looking good. And at the 11th hour, the conditional sale on their house falls apart. The day after, they need to make a decision. Are we going to go ahead with the purchase of that upgrade place that we're buying or not? And now it
This
comes.
is happening or could happen.
Say that again.
This is happening or could happen.
This has already happened.
Oh, this is a true story, not
Yeah,
a hypothetical. Oh, okay, cool.
This is real life. This is
No,
real
no, I
life.
knew it was real life, but like this part, I thought you're like, oh, but what if this happens? Okay, no,
No,
this is like
no.
this has happened.
This has happened,
Awesome.
these buyers had to make this decision. Hey, do we want to roll the dice? Do we think that we're going to be able to sell our house, or are we too risk adverse?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Different people are going to have different ways to play it. These particular buyers were too risk averse. They said, "Hey, look, if our
Pull the
house,
shoot.
yeah, that's it. So the deal's dead. The first deal with the first refusal, out, done. Our house, so we're talking about plan B now, that we're listing out in the country goes back onto the market for 650. We told these people, hey, just ask for a longer closing. You'll sell your house. You'll be okay. Don't pull the shoot. Keep your deal. Solidify it. Ask for a closing in 3-4 months if you want, with the right to move it back up to whatever you need. If you already had a conditional sale that fell through, chances are you're going to get someone else who's going to be able to put it together, right? So we're like, just don't take the risk. Like, take the risk. You'll be okay, right? It's listed with a good agent. We know, hey, you're going to be okay. We know that. We do this all the time. The client, not our client, is like, no, we're not willing to take the risk. Okay, cool, up to you. House goes back on the market instantly. Oh, hey, here's an offer. Hey, anybody else want to make an offer? Like you people with the first refusal that you had before? Here's your chance. You know what you got to do. No, no, no. Our deal fell through and we don't have another sale on the go. So no, we're not willing to put an offer in. Okay. Second offer gets accepted. So
So
now
this is the
we've
new offer that just came
new
in.
offer. So now we've got a
Okay.
conditional sale to someone else. So we're talking about, like, now we're into plan. I don't know if we're plan C or plan D or whatever. Now we got a new offer to someone else. Now check this out. The first people get another conditional sale on their home,
Murphy's Law, baby.
right?
Murphy's
Because
Law.
no, they were going to sell their house. It's priced right. It will sell. It's just the first people that weren't able to get the financing together. That's all, right? Someone's going to be able to want the house. It's priced right. They're going to sell it just the same as ours is priced right. We're going to sell it. So we sell it to someone else. These people come in and say, hey, we give you a backup offer to the offer that you already accepted,
Well, they
right?
still want the house, right? They're
Of
just
course.
risk averse. Yeah, yeah.
And the sale of the house that they're selling right now is conditional upon a specific property being available for sale. Our property,
Holy, this circle's hilarious.
right? Right? So,
What?
so
Oh my god.
we've got a first offer in place. Okay, this is the new deal on the
Yep.
house, and now we've got a backup offer behind it from these guys who had the first refusal. Now this backup offer is still subject to the sale of their house, which is conditionally sold right now. Today is Friday. All of this is going to happen Monday, Tuesday.
I really wish I was selling my house by myself and had to deal with all this. That would be a great idea.
Right? Right? Like
Fuck that.
all of the mechanics and the moving pieces and all of the different, like, oh my goodness, talk about plan A, B, C, D, E, F. I mean, look, we're going to sell this house, right? It's priced right. It's garnering a lot of attention. I think we've had 30 something showings on it. So
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a good spot. It's a nice little house. You know, it's well maintained. It's a little bit further out, up near sort of Calabogie, White Lake area. So a little
Yeah.
bit further out. But my goodness, what a talk about like fancy footwork or stick handling or anything like that. Like knowing the ins and outs, what the benefit is, what the drawback is. Hey, should you do this? Should you not do it? Try and do it on your own. Good luck. You know.
Oh, I think it's a perfect thought because it's I think both sellers and buyers need to understand how that all works, right? Like, um, like for some, but just in that instance, when if you go back to the first part of that, right? You had your first refusal, they waived all their conditions, but they were still trying to sell their house, and you still had the first refusal on, right? It's it's realizing, a lot of people would sit there super easy or super simple and say, hey, there's a first refusal, but all the other conditions are waived. Like this is as good as done. And it's like, it's so far from being as good as done as you can plainly see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so much can change. I had one in December that I was doing, and we may have talked about this one already, but this is the whole, what do you do? Plan A, plan B, plan C to give your clients the confidence to go out and get what they need to get, want to get, whatever. Clients were selling a house. It's very similar. Like, townhome, seemed to be priced right for sure, but for whatever reason, it sat. So when they listed their house, we did all the math and said, okay, sell your house for X. We got this much money. Here's the bargain basement price you could take
Yeah.
to go out and buy this new house that you want to buy.
Yeah.
So we got them approved for that purchase, and that mortgage came back and said, we'll totally give you the money as long as your other house is sold.
That's right.
Right. So the discussion was, do you think you're going to sell the house? For sure, we will. Great. We're talking September we did that. And it hits November 15th. And we're like, we've come down 20, 30, 40 grand. Yeah. And our numbers are still good. Like as long as we sell, we're going to be okay. Right. Our numbers are still good, but they're not selling, not selling, not selling. So now it goes to, okay, what are the options? Right. And we flip through it. It's, well, let's refinance the property. Let's pull some equity out and then keep it as a rental. Right. Like you could do that. It's an investment. I think that's a good deal. If it works, and it did, great. But what happened is we had to do them both on alternative lenders because the math was better. The ratios were needed to be higher. So that changed the dynamic of the finances completely. Right. So that was one thing. Then it became, we don't want to do that, or something was missing. We were still short money. It's like, okay, well, then it became, let's do a private deal and we'll do a blanket mortgage across both just to make sure you can close.
Right.
Right. Because we can't get out of this deal without getting into a lot of trouble. So let's do a blanket mortgage, because people sit there and say, well, let's just buy the house and get a bridge. Can't get a bridge unless you've got a sale.
That's right.
And no bank is going to finance a house that's for sale. Right. So you want to refinance it, you better be keeping it, because if you refinance it and you like, people don't think they're going to know. The banks know a lot. The first thing they'll do is Google you and then the property. They see it up on with a for sale sign up and listed, dude, they're not touching it because they're not going to make any money, right? So it was like, got to take it off the market, do this and all this dancing. So that we went to plan C, and then there was another one we had. I think there was something else we had too, which was really just evaluating, should we just walk away? Like on that private deal, that was I think the expenses on that, like the fees and stuff, were like 30 grand. Right? Because it's a percentage of what you need. Well, now you need a mortgage not on 500,000, you need it on 900,000 because you got to pay for both. Yeah. So at 3%, boom, 27 grand plus the lead plus this, like it adds up. So then it was like, well, if we just walk away, we're only losing the 10 grand and the risk of being sued. But what's the lesser of two evils if they can sell that house? Right. So we were just going down the list, and then literally first week of December, they get an offer, 7 days financing, done. We begged forgiveness, pushed it out 2 weeks closing, boom, nice, done. Like but we were going to close that deal come hell or high water.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what people need to understand and think about is what are you have in place if that doesn't work? Because that's the key, right?
Yeah.
You have to have that plan B through F, whatever it is.
Plan B is a great skateboard company. Um, so you've been really I've noticed you've been putting in some work. You've been working on healthy goals for 2024. I remember you were talking about consistency as your word for 2024. How has it
Mhm.
been for you so far? And
Um,
what
I
tools
think I
have you been
think
using? Hit it.
so. The two things were one. I have not been good at the workout stuff, straight up. Been looking at some different things to do just because I'm not a big gym guy, but I still do like to feel active. So I'm working that part out, and no, that's that. But I have been way more consistent with morning routine and a little bit more watching what I eat and stuff like that. Definitely consistent with adding that magic mind that we got into. Thanks to them for sponsoring the podcast. That's been great. And that's been great. That's been great. Adding that to the morning routine has been really good. I went through the first bit that I had a week or two where I didn't have any, and back at it now, and I'm like, okay, there is a difference. Like to try it, stick with it, be consistent with it, and then not have it, and then go back to having it. I do see the difference. Again, it's not. I'm never going to say that it's just like mind blowing of how the difference is. But if you know yourself enough and have tried different things over the years, um, you can see the difference. It's the consistent energy. It's the longevity of it. There is the focus aspect of it. I'm not going to claim to know how it works or what it does. It's above my pay grade, and I care, but I don't care. It's not, it does what it does, and I like what it does,
Yeah.
and it's been keeping me nice like that. So I've been super happy to have that as part of the routine. Even my wife has, she said she's like I think I might want to try some of that and get going with it, because she's obviously noticed some type of difference, which is cool from the outside looking in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that little elixir, the mushrooms, the combination, all of it works, and I'm stoked to have it. The fact that they're giving us the promo code to help push it out to more people is cool. So Real Collective 20, go to the Magic Mind website, Real Collective 20, pop that in, and you're gonna get 20% off through February, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, through February. So if you're looking for something like, if you continue to do what you've always done, you continue to get what you've always got, try something new. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Right. So definitely give it a shot, because I think it's definitely working, and super appreciative that we've hooked up with them for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's one of their little promos on it says Silicon Valley's new little secret. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
right.
that's
So
good.
you got all those people down there that are doing like sitting in front of a computer screen all day and just clicking the keyboard. You click faster. I don't know. It's no, it's great. We're really enjoying it. So as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone who you think might like this kind of conversation. As always, you can download the buyer or seller guides below if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for your eyeballs. And schedule an appointment with Kyle or I in the Calendly links below. You can book anything right into our calendar. We love talking with people, as you can tell, about real estate and mortgages. So just to to sort of wind it all up, put it all together. Yeah, man, story time for Plan B, Plan C. You always want to know, hey, if this isn't going to work out, here's where we're going to next. Case in point, a lot of the times when we're meeting with new clients and they say, hey, look, I want to sell my house and I want to put it up for this price. We'll say, hey, yeah, sure, no problem. We'll put it up for that price. Your house, your number. The market's going to tell us, and a lot of times we know in advance, hey, it's not going to sell for that number. The market's going to know, and it's going to respond pretty quickly if you're wrong. So hey, sure, we'll sign your listing for 700,000. We'll give it a shot on the market. I'm going to do everything I can to protect that number for you. Just know that if we don't get any action in the first little bit, Plan B looks like we're going 679.9 or something like that. There's always that, hey, in about a week or 2 weeks, the market's going to give you all the information that you need. We talked last time about a property that had, you know, was listed for 650 and it sold for 705, or listed for 650, it sold for 670. It's really hard to underlist a property in Ottawa, right? It's going to sell for what it's worth, right? So
Yeah, it's gonna spur those extra. It's gonna spur on those additional offers to
right,
bring it up to where it should be.
exactly. But we also talked about a couple episodes ago that there were 21,000 people who put their house up for sale and only 12,000 of them sold. So that was a lot of people reaching, thinking that we were in the 2021 market, or the end of, or the beginning of 2022 market, or the COVID world. We're not there anymore, right? Like you said last time, we're more in line with the sort of number of transactions that we saw in 2018, and we're more
Mhm.
in line with the average prices that we were seeing 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. So if you're reaching and you're looking for fair market value to list your house, there's a really neat HPI, home price index tracker, that tells you here's the average prices of houses based on the different years that they're sold in. And if you're looking to see, hey, what's sold in the market that we're in right now, you can go back to 2020 and say, okay, well, what was the average price points of houses that sold at that time? How does mine compare to those ones? As opposed to looking back last month or 2 months ago, if the market was lower and now it's up a little bit, you want to compare the up a little bit to a different time where the average price is what it is. So there's not just some science, some math that goes into pricing a house properly for when you hit the market. There's also an art to it to know, like, okay, well, what are people buying, right?
Yeah, pay for an appraisal.
You know, we've done that on
That'd be
places.
that'd be what I would do right away. Like, no offense to agents, but I'd be like, if you don't, it if you just want to know, just I mean, pay the money. Like, real, I find it amazing. I find it amazing what where we won't spend money versus where we will spend money,
Yeah,
right? Like, it's I had something last week. I had a deal last week where I mean, I longer story, but at the end of the day, we are into plan B and C again
yeah,
because their down payment money didn't come from where it was supposed to come from. And we had to move a bunch of stuff real quick to try to close. And that and it, to do that, to do this specific thing would have cost money. It easily cost them, say, $3,500. Someone else, if they listen to this, is gonna say it would have cost them $6,000. I think I explained that, but whatever. Anyway, and they and and they spent 2 days, like literally 2 days, like took 2 days off work and spent easily 8 to 12 hours
ooh,
gathering up different stuff, paperwork and moving money, and then over the weekend sending me stuff that I needed, and you know and all of that to save that $6,000 or 3 or $3,500. And I'm like, what is your time worth to you? Right? Like, what's your time worth to you to do that? So it's all of that back to it. Just like, this is real estate. You're gonna spend money,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right? Like, you're gonna spend money. I mean, even your other story of the first refusal,
yeah,
right? Like, I know I could think in my head, I'm projecting this, but I'm thinking when that first agent came in underneath your original offer
yeah,
and said, we want to go conditional, but you guys kick your first one out. They did that because they didn't want to spend the money. They didn't want to pay for the inspection and the septic inspection and whatever else they had to pay for just to not win, which I can understand. But this you're playing. This is an expensive game.
yeah, man.
It's an expensive game. You either want in or you don't.
Let me tell you this, all right? A prudent agent who came in that position could write into his offer, hey, we want to do this. If we don't end up winning the house, you, the seller, agree to reimburse us for the money that we've spent on the well inspection, the septic inspection, and the home inspection, and we agree to give you those inspections so you can have them for yourself. That would have been the right move to do, because the seller would say, yeah, sure, great. I'll take your
That's
deal.
a great deal. That's a
Right.
great deal.
Right. Because if they get it, then hey, you know what? Sure, we spent the money. We were expecting to spend the money anyways. If they don't get it and they've got to walk away, then the seller knows, hey, now I've got all this stuff. Sure, I had to pay for it, but now I can use that to make someone else potentially give an offer without conditions.
See, now maybe I'm just don't do this enough. Like I've only owned 3 houses, right? Or have my name attached to 3 houses, we'll say. But it's
You
like,
never own them. The bank always does. Let's be honest.
yeah, yeah. Me and the bank have a great relationship. We're
Yeah.
great. But but why would someone like I get it. I get why you want the buyers to invest. But why would I not get an appraisal and get my own inspections and then just say, here, let's not screw around. Like there, let's just do this.
Yeah,
If
man.
you don't believe this information, move on to the next. But here, let's go. Why would we not do that?
You're talking about the seller.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
if I'm gonna sell my house, right?
yeah.
Like my house built in 1984. I know there's probably some stuff, but I'm gonna go and check it out and I'm putting paint on the walls and cleaning it up. But I get it appraised and I have an appraisal in hand. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have an inspection done on my house to say here, this is it. So when you walk into my house, I'm like, here's the shit. Don't screw around. You want it, you want it, you don't, you don't. Here we go. Let's move on. Like
This is an entirely other podcast conversation. I have an answer for you. It is a great answer.
perfect.
Check out the next one
The inner week.
because sometimes you don't want to know. Is the short answer.
That's a good call. Okay. That's it. You know what? That's why we have those conversations, because that's where my head goes. But
Yeah,
that's completely makes sense at the same time.
because what you do know, you have to say. Anyways, we can dive into the pros and
Oh,
cons of
true.
that in the next one. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone who you think might like this type of conversation. You can schedule an appointment with Kyle or I in the Calendly links below. You can also download the buyer or seller guide there. You can also look in the links below for the coupon code for Magic Mind Real Collective 20. And until next time, keep it real.
Collective.